Good morning, good morning, good morning. So, today's poem. I like, what I'm doing at the moment is I am basically sitting down, having some tea, and then I'll take a book of poetry. This is this anthology today, Robert Bly, James Hillman anthology, and just kind of page through it until I find something that kind of calls out to me. And then when I find something that I try not to overthink it, I try not to like, just something that calls out to me, that's it, that's the one. So today I'm going to read to you All the Fruit, which is a poem by Friedrich Holderlin. This is how it goes. All the fruit is ripe, plunged in fire, cooked. And they have passed their test on earth, and one law is this, that everything curls inward like snakes, prophetic, dreaming on the hills of heaven. And many things have to stay on the shoulders like a load of failure. However, the roads are bad, for the chained elements like horses are going off to the side, and the old laws of the earth. And a longing for disintegration constantly comes. Many things, however, have to stay on the shoulders. Steadiness is essential. Forwards, however, or backwards, we will not look. Let us learn to live swaying as in a rocking boat on the sea. All the fruit is ripe, plunged in fire, cooked. It's interesting, he says all the fruit is ripe, and then plunged in fire. Because all the fruit is clearly not ripe. That's an interesting way to start. But what really grabbed me was a couple of things. So, first of all, you know, the one law that everything curls inward like snakes, prophetic, dreaming on the hills of heaven. And I suppose what that made me think of was how, it made me think of almost like the fetal position, and how, in a way, as a fetus, we are curled in on ourselves, and very often, you know, as we're moving towards death, we assume a similar kind of position. We kind of curl in on ourselves. Something like that. And many things have to stay on the shoulders like a load of failure. That's a powerful line, isn't it? That idea that, you know, I think that's what also people come to therapy for. They come to therapy thinking the many things that hurt me, and that when I think about them pain me greatly. I'm going to come to therapy and we're going to talk about it, and we're going to do some stuff, and then they're not going to pain me anymore. I'm going to be fine. And yeah, maybe for some people that's how it goes, but for a lot of us, right? Actually, there's a couple of things in our lives that we just have to carry on our fucking shoulders, and you could have all the therapy you want. You could be therapized to the hilt, but you will always have to carry that fucking thing through for the rest of your life. I feel that way towards Natalia. I really do. I feel that whenever I think of her, wherever my mind goes there, into thinking about that relationship, or thinking about, into anything about her, I feel like I need this line. Many things have to stay on the shoulders like a load of failure. That there's no, that my failure in that relationship, the failure of the relationship, the failure of her, forgive her, forgive all of us, right, for just not being capable of being the sort of communicative, the more communicative and open and non-stonewalling person that I probably need, well, I do need to be in relationship with. Because that was also her, curled inward like a snake. And you don't really know what's going on in the mind of the snake when it's curled inward. It's like, I'm going to tell you. But she couldn't do it. And that's one of the things that I've realized, that maybe I will have to carry that on my fucking shoulder forever. Just the failure of me, of the relationship, her failure to give me what I wanted, my failure to give her what she wanted, and the fact that also my mind now tells me that she's found all of that with somebody else, and that she is unburdened and it's all hunky-dory. That's all my, Enneagram 4 envy and resentment there. And a longing for disintegration constantly comes. I was talking with a client last night who was talking about how, as a child, she hated her father so much that she would write in her diary. She would have, the ways that she wanted to kill him, and she would have all of these almost like homicidal fantasies, and she would write about them. And I think he actually found the diary, and that was not good news for her. But she had these homicidal fantasies against him because she hated him so much. And we were talking about how maybe that in a certain way that was good for her. Like in schema therapy, one of the things about schema therapy, which is quite original in a way, is that it's not necessarily about it's not like the therapist tries to get you to forgive these people. You travel back in time. Like, let's say you were to go to a schema therapist, you would travel back in time and go and meet your own mother if you were still carrying the burden, let's say the pain on your shoulders. You would go back in time to when she was bullying you and hurting you and upsetting you and not being the mother that we would all want ideally to have. I guess the mother that you became, maybe because also partly because you didn't have that mother, so you became the mother that you never had. But the idea in schema therapy is you would go back, and if you wanted to, if you then went back and you re-experienced, as it were, with the therapist there with you, that trauma, and it brought out rage or whatever the case may be, if you felt that it would be helpful to actually hurt that person, to really, really hurt them in your fantasy, then you would do that. And if you struggle to do that, the therapist would do it for you. If you said, I want this person to suffer. I want their legs to be cut off. I want their eyes to be stabbed out. I want them even to be killed. This is, I admire Jeff Young, who came up with all of this, okay, you go back and you face your tormentor and you kill them. you know, it happens in every fucking movie. Why shouldn't it happen for you? That you can go back and, if you need to, destroy. And I hate to say this, but I have a strong need in me to destroy Natalia. To have her not on this planet. Because the fantasy is, if she's not on this planet, then she's not in my mind. She's not the burden I have to carry, right? She's not the thing I have to carry, the load on my fucking shoulder anymore, you know, for another year. Because even though, yeah, you know, I've made my peace with that load, by and large, I really do. But, damn it, I tell you, you know, there'll be, maybe even every day, there will be a few moments where I will be aware of that load. I will be like, oh no, I'm still carrying that load, yeah. I've even, you know, I think I will. I think I'm going to make a video for the fine cuts part of the channel. I don't know how to do this. Kind of also asking this question, right? Like asking the question of, is it okay to do something in your imagination that is very, very cruel and very, very like a kind of a retribution, as it were. I think before I make that video, I'll rewatch something like Kill Bill, because I think Kill Bill, this Quentin Tarantino film where this woman is betrayed. I mean, Natalia never betrayed me. She just, you know, she just dropped me because I was a pain in the ass. Fair enough. It's like, oh, you're a hemorrhoid. I don't want hemorrhoids, so fuck off. But yeah, but anyway, yeah, she goes on this like mercenary rampage against this guy who sort of dropped her, if you like. And we're all on her side. I mean, he really does. He doesn't just drop her. I mean, he really betrays her, and he hurts her. He betrays her. It's a very, very deep betrayal. And of course we're all on her side. But she goes off to basically find the motherfucker and kill him. I need to watch that film again. Because I guess the question I'm asking is, you know, I know we talked about this. I had this idea of like, should I? And I sort of did it because I drew like a picture, and then I drew like some pins sticking in it. But like the question of, would it help me? Would it actually help me if I created a voodoo doll? And genuinely stuck some pins in that fucking thing, you know? And maybe I still need to do that. Maybe that's still a project I need to do. And come clean about it. You know, that would be the YouTube channel title. Like, am I a bad person for making a voodoo doll of my ex and sticking pins into it? And really interrogating that idea, you know? Because it's very, I think if a woman was making a video like that, I could imagine, you know, lots of thumbs up, lots of like, yeah, the bastard. But a man doing that, because of course men are, you know, are perpetrators of terrible violence, terrible atrocities towards women. But a man doing that, ooh. But I still feel like I kind of want to do it. And I think just the process of making the voodoo doll, because I think I would make it out of paper mache, or I don't know. I mean, you've got some art materials. Maybe you can suggest I could make it out of clay or something like that. But I quite like the idea of I quite like the idea of paper mache. And videoing the whole process. And I think I am going to make that video, you know, and actually seeing if that makes me feel better in any way. You know, of course I'm screwed if Natalia would ever find this channel one day and, I don't know, send this video to the police or something. It's my crazy ex-boyfriend making a voodoo doll out of me and sticking pins and needles. But of course that's the other reason why I want to do it, right? Because it's kind of naughty. And it's like, well, everyone else is going to therapy and doing that. No, I'm going to fucking make a video called Could making a voodoo doll of your ex and sticking pins into it, could that actually help you? And I'm going to, you know, and it's also going to be a video about schematherapy. Because Jeffrey Young, and schematherapy is like hugely respected. It's, you know, it's used in the NHS all over the freaking place. I mean, it's hugely respected. It's not like some little cult freaking to the side job of therapy. No, it's really respected. But like, yeah, Jeff Young would say, go for it. He might say, you know, do it privately, don't put it on YouTube. But I want to because I want to have a conversation with other people who have, and maybe even give something of value to someone else, because maybe it's something another person in my position has never thought of. And maybe it genuinely would help me. Make the doll and make it look like her, right? And I've made it with my own hands. It's like God making Adam and Eve and then basically kicking them out of the Garden of Eden, right? And saying, and now go forth and suffer, my creations. I'm inspired. It's going to be one of my naughty videos. It's going to be a video that will go on my fine cuts playlist, first of all. It will probably land up in deep cuts, but I don't know, it's got that feeling to it, you know? Am I a bad person for making a voodoo doll of my ex and sticking a few pins into it? But also genuinely, like, will I feel better? Or will I feel bad? Will sticking the pin in, you know, kind of going like, I'm going to stick a pin into your heart and I really hope, because this would be my desire, right? Like, as I stick the pin into her heart, it would be like, this is what you did to me, or this is how it felt. You didn't do this to me. This is my bullshit, you know, this is my ego cage. But this is how it felt every time you stonewalled me and didn't come to the table when I thought I was offering food that would be good to eat. So here's the pin. Why don't you experience some of that? And of course I know at a higher level she will, you know, none of us can get through life without experiencing that. But I don't know what it is, right? Again, that's the thing to explore. I need to do some reading about voodoo dolls. There's a whole history to it. It's going to be a good video. I'm going to make it. Okay. So here's the question for you, Ma. What are those things for you? What are those things for you that you still carry that on your shoulder? Or, I mean, you know, You're going to be 77 in a couple of weeks' time. Do you get to a point where you're like, yeah, it's there, but I'm... Many things, however, have to stay on the shoulders. They have to. They have to. It's not saying like you get a choice. It has to be on the shoulder. It has to be on the freaking shoulder. You know, it's like I've got Natalia here and her beloved here, and not only are they sitting there on my shoulders, like she's sitting here and he's sitting here, and they're having a lovely little chat over my head, and they're probably drinking tea, and they've got the little teacups and they're putting them on my head, and you know, eating vegan cake, and she's laughing and she's like, oh, I love, you know, and she's saying all the things to him, but I mean, she's been with him for years now, and so, you know, he's the one, as I was supposedly the one until I wasn't. And but he really is the one. I was like the test case, you know. She was like, she now says to him, this is what she's saying. They talk about me, right? They're drinking tea and talk about me. Of course, they're not talking about me, because Natalia didn't ever talk about anyone in her past, because that was uncomfortable and she didn't want to have that conversation. But they talk about me, and she's saying, yeah, he was the test case. But I feel so grateful to Steve, because only by having the relationship with him did I realize what I truly needed, and now I can get that from you, my beloved. And she turns to him and she says, sometimes I'm almost scared about how much I love you and care for you. And she's got tears in her eyes. So she's doing the line she did to me. But she does this line to him, and now she means it. Now this is for real. For me, that was just a rehearsal. She was rehearsing that line, but for him, it's the real thing. And they're sitting there, and then they climb onto the top of my fucking head, or on my shoulders. No. And then they put like a little, you know, some sort of mattress or something there, and then they start having sex on my shoulders, and I'm just sitting there like, could you do this somewhere else, please? Do you have to do it here? And they're like, no, we have to. And he's like, you know, giving it to her doggy style or something. I don't know. She's like, tog. And that's what I carry on my shoulders. What do you carry on your shoulders? And it's just, there we go. It's there. It's like, okay, there's Natalia. There's my ex fucking her beloved boyfriend, husband on my shoulders for the rest of my life. What can I do? You know, like, hey, Steve, what you got on your shoulders? Oh, it's Natalia fucking her, fucking canoodling, walking hand in hand through the forests, having picnics, laughing, giving all her love to someone else. It's like the Psycho thing. Pin. And maybe that's what the voodoo thing is. It's like, okay, do that, but I've got a few pins here. If you want to be fucking on my shoulder, I'm going to stick a pin in your ass. Leave me the fuck alone. Go fuck off over there. Go fuck your brains out. I don't care. Just stay off my fucking shoulders. Maybe that's what the voodoo doll thing is. It's like, fuck off, fuck the fuck off. Amen. So I'm going to try it. Let's see if that works. Okay. Steadiness is essential. Forwards, however, or backwards, we will not look. Let us learn to live swaying as in a rocking boat. You know what that makes me think of? It makes me think of, you know, the mad Jews, right? You know, like swaying every morning. That's what they're trying to do, I guess. They're trying to, like, swaying as in a rocking boat on the sea. Swaying as in a rocking boat on the sea. So, what do you think of the poem? Do you like it? What lines jump out for you? What is meant by the title or the fruit? what do you have to basically carry on your shoulders, and whether you like it or not. Anything else you want to say? I'm all ears.
Right, I'm going to try this and see how I go. Hello, hello, hello. With my old, nearly 77-year-old face, and hopefully some wisdom. Maybe I can pass on to you some of the things the way I truly do feel. I don't know how it's going to work. I'm going to look like I'm looking down all the time, but I can't. Do I look up? It's not easy because I'm looking at myself down. Anyway, right, doesn't matter. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go through this poem a bit with my interpretation of it, and then, very interesting the way you've gone on to Natalia. I'd really like to talk about that quite a lot. And you say, what do I hang on to and all the rest. So, I'll tell you how I managed, my big dramas, blah, 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 blah. So, all right. All the fruit is ripe, plunged in fire and cooked, and they have passed their test on earth, and one law is this, that everything curls inwards like snakes. So yes, you are ripe, you are used, you have passed the test, and then you curl inward like snakes and you die. That's what I see. So fruit ripens, it's cooked, so you ripen. You're used for whatever it is, whether it's your career, your love, your parenting, your being a pastor, whatever you are. But then in the end, one law is this. That is the end. We all die. That everything curls inward like snakes. So I see the curling inward absolutely like death, and I see it like preservation. The hills of heaven and many things have to stay on the shoulders like a load of failure. However the roads are bad, for the chained elements like horses are going off to the side, and the old laws of the earth. Okay, so the hills of heaven, so the good things, and many other things, have to stay on the shoulders like a load of failure. Okay, that is unavoidable. I absolutely agree with you. It is unavoidable not to carry things on your shoulders and think, if only I had done this, if only I had done that. And yes, a lot of things feel like failure. But that does change as you get older. Well, it has for me. Things that really, really bothered me, and I will go into them in a minute because I've written notes on what you've said, don't bother me. Now, this is the Joss before Alzheimer's and the Joss with Alzheimer's. So it has to be said that at this point, I really don't give a fuck about anything. I really don't, Stephen. I really don't. And I'm trying really, really, really hard to just forgive Leon, forgive Gaga, just let them all rest in peace, whatever they're doing, But however the roads are bad, for the chained elements like horses are going off the side, and the old laws of the earth, and a longing for disintegration constantly comes. Now, this is all the stuff that you're wrangling with, which I have in my life. This, you want to demolish this person. You want to have these feelings to go away at long last. You want to attack a voodoo doll. All these things, which are all very, very real. Now, these constantly come. And a longing for disintegration, this longing for chained elements going to the side, the laws of the earth to be correct, people to not tell lies, things that you think are real are really real, all of this. Many things, however, have to stay on the shoulders. My feeling about was I a good mother? Because there were many times you told me I wasn't, so did Mark. There were many times I felt I wasn't, many, many times. And there were many times I think I was even proved to not be a good mother. Steadiness is essential. Now, this is it, you see. Steadiness. It's really, really important to keep yourself steady, to hold on, to to use what you've got, to use your tools, to use your wisdom, to use your experience, to be steady. And all of this I'm going to relate to Natalia as you brought her up. Forwards, however, or backwards, we will not look. Let us learn to live swaying as in a rocking boat on the sea. So, people who look forwards, which I always used to, but in 5 years' time it's going to be like this and this and this. And people who look backwards, which Ian does all the time. But it was like this. My mother was like that. It was nice when I was 18, and I wish I was 20 again. I'd do it differently and all the rest. No, he wouldn't. He wouldn't do it differently. Forwards, however, or backwards, we will not look. It is not it's not good to look back at that, to look back at her, and it's not good to look forwards and portray or depict, because I've always said to you, you don't know this for sure about her. She could be on her 4th boyfriend and she could be having a hell of a time. And I'll get back to her on that as well. Let us learn to be swaying as in a rocking boat. Exactly. That is, of course, I wish we all could do that. To go with the flow. To go with the boat. Yes. What do they tell you if you've got seasickness when you get on a boat? Go with the boat. Let your body flow with the boat. That's what Dad used to try and teach me. That's what he learnt in DFE. Let your body match the rhythm of the boat. If your body matches the rhythm of the boat, you will not be seasick. You will not feel ill. You will be fine. But if you're standing rigid and the boat is doing this and you're, you can even see that it doesn't work. But if you're doing this as the boat is going, it has a rhythm, and the rhythm will go together with what you're doing. So I think it's an amazing poem. And I think it's very, very true. So for me, the fruit ripens, it's cooked or used, as we do. You pass your test on earth. Sometimes you pass it, sometimes you don't. And everything in the end cools inwards and goes. So I think this is really, really pertaining to me a lot. So whether it's the hills of heaven or many other things, whether it's the roads that are bad, whether it's the chained elements, horses are chained, whether you've been chained in your life, whether you're going off the side, whether it's old laws, whether it's new laws, and it's this continual longing for the bad things to disintegrate and for all these wonderful new things to never ever leave you. This is being human. But things do stay with you. They can't not, Steve. They can't not, And Ian is still, what's the word? I can't think of the word. That the last week that Gaga was lying there, going in and out of having fits and whatever, he brought his work because he had to work, and he was sitting in her room working with his back to her, and that he never just left his work and sat with her. This haunted him. I think he still mentions it. This haunted him, that he blames himself that he didn't give those last few days to his mother. And the strange thing was that she gave me her last 48 hours, telling me how wonderful I was and apologizing and all the rest. And I never apologized to her, and I never told her I loved her. I sloughed it off. So sometimes people come and apologize, and you don't really want that either. But there are things on our shoulders that will always sit on our shoulders. And I'll talk to you about Gaga and the way things I do not feel like I do about her now, but there are things that I still feel I'd never forgive her for, which is human nature. So, and to learn to live swaying, go with the tide, roll with the punches, let things wash over your shoulders. I think we could probably find loads and loads of things about water if we actually looked for it, because there's a lot of similes or some similarities in the flow, the ebb and flow of the tides, the ebb and flow of life, the ebb and flow of water. So I think that is a phenomenal poem. Thank you. That is going to go into one of my favourite ones. So let me now look at my notes, because this is the way I'm going to have to do yours, because I can't remember them. So you carry this burden. You carry this terrible burden of Leon and Natalia. Now you ask me, how did I cope with it? So, imagine, not only was I told it wasn't his child, not only was I thrown out when he was 6 months old, not only was I don't know what you want, go, you bitch, go back to your mother and father, you're nuts. Not only that, but he also arrived at the door less than 1 year later with a wedding ring on his finger, a woman in the car with he was the same age as you by then, 2-year-old boy. You cannot ever imagine that, because Natalia's not, you're not passing Natalia in the park or at the opera or her living next door to you where you're actually seeing her. You're not seeing her, Stephen. It's all here in your mind. I saw that. He's to come and fetch you once every 6 weeks if he could be bothered. Supposed to be 2 to 4, never came at 2, kept us waiting. And when Dad came back, Dad had a lot to say to him about that. He didn't like it because Dad looked down on him and Dad has a way. But he used to come late, come at 3:45 and then stay till 6. You were a little child, and the whole thing that you didn't want to go, you were crying not once. He said, it's okay, I'll come back. I want him to go when he feels okay. I'll come and sit in the garden with him. I'll sit with him in my car with you. Let's get the child. He never gave any thought to you as being his child or anything. And that burned me, Steve. And that burned me, not because he'd thrown me out. I knew I was weird. I knew my mother didn't want me. So what was the difference? My mother didn't want me and my husband didn't want me. Come on, it wasn't anything unusual. But he did that to my child. And for that, I never forgave Leon. Never, never. Now, I then had Auntie Sadie, who knew Pearl's mother at shul. So Auntie Sadie, who was my father's auntie, lovely, lovely, crazy gypsy old Jew, she used to come and tell me stories about him, pass them on, which was unfair, right? And then she came to tell me that he had sold this business for 2.3 million rand to me, which was a fortune in early 80s. A fortune. It's like 20 million now. And Auntie Essie had given me 3,000. She'd left me 3,000 rand in her will, along with her embroidery and tzotzkes. Okay, and her little Morris Minor car that my mother took away. She refused from 16 to 18 to keep that car garaged for me. She took that away from me. I would have loved nothing more than to drive my Auntie Essie's little Morris Minor car. And that money I gave him willingly, Steve, to start Young World. We sat down, we thought of the concept, we decided, because you'd just been born, we decided of kids. He went to look at Swedish images. He copied them from Sweden because they weren't known in South Africa. There was no internet. There was no Google. He looked at magazines, and they were making these units where you could undress the baby and dress it and its cot, and you just lifted it off, and it was all, the drawers were underneath. This was unheard of. Me, Stephen, me. I sat down with Leon, and we created the name Young World, him and me. And when he sold it for 2-point-something million, I didn't see 1 penny. And not only that, I was starving. I wasn't eating anything. I was bringing up a child. My mother had disowned me, and Leon was swanning in and out his new wedding ring, and another child he was living with. So, I carried a huge burden on my shoulders. No wonder I got an eating disorder. Well, are we surprised, Now, time has gone. And there's only one time I wished bad on him. One time, really bad. And that's when he had cancer. I hoped he died. I hoped he would die, and I hope he'd die all alone in the bed with nobody with him, maybe Enid. I hoped he would die. That's the only time I thought, he should die in his own shit and pain, because no cancer's good, but prostate's pretty horrid. And it's up there with one of the three. I think it's the third worst. So, again, the good old Lord, or the good old light of halo, shone his eye on him, and he didn't die. Fine. Now, I couldn't care, Steve. I really couldn't care. I really couldn't care. This is another poem I found today, because some of them are just excerpts. They're not poems, but I just used to see them on Facebook. I'm not on Facebook anymore. We live within borrowed time and walk in rented shoes. If we fade, we fade. But let us go out having loved, laughed, and forgiven. So I forgive him. I'm saying this to you tonight. I forgive him. Whatever the hell he did to me, he got it back in spades, and he hasn't got his son. He hasn't got the joy, the love, and the laughter that I have with you. He hasn't ever had that relationship. am having 50, nearly 54 years of your love and your life, and sharing and laughing and crying together and doing everything together. He's had none of that. So if we fade, we fade. But let us go out having loved. Yes, I have. Often stupidly, but yes, I have. Laughed. Yes, definitely. And forgiven. And I forgive him. And at this point, you know what? I forgive Gaga too. What the fuck? She won't be the first one who beat somebody up with a sjambok and got away with it. She won't be the last, I overcame her, Steve. I overcame Gaga, and I'm very proud of that. I did not become an abuser. In fact, the weird thing is Unc became the abuser. Unc abused Rochelle. Unc used to beat and he abused his dogs. Unc is an abuser, not me. Yes, I used to flick you on the bum. Yes, I used to hit you at the back of the leg. But I have never taken anything to you. And I have never hit you and hit you and hit you. Never, ever. I have loved you. I do love you and Mark unconditionally. Unconditionally. And that I will take to my grave. You can say that at my grave. So I'm very, very proud of that. I'm very, very proud of that. Now, you can do anything in your imagination. Of course, we know our minds are strong. Of course they are. They rule us. And of course, in my mind, I'll get cross with Dad and all the rest. Oh, God, he's so irritated. He's so this, he's so that. But nobody can stop you, lovey, because that's what's in your mind. Nobody can take that away. You live in your mind. You create in your mind. You have pain in your mind, you panic in your mind, even having sex, it's in your mind. When you're having sex with a woman, when I was having sex, I was in my mind, because Dad wasn't a good sex partner either, nor was Leon. So, Dad was very mundane. So, it's in your mind. It's absolutely in your mind. So, yes, nobody can stop you, but do consider for a minute. This is all while I'm listening to you. I'm writing this down. Do consider for a minute. You didn't want Ida. You didn't want Juliet. I don't know what happened with Tina was her name. Anyway, the one, I don't know if you wanted her. But many, many, many you didn't want Mary. So it's not a one-sided thing. It's not a one-sided thing because they wanted you. It's not a one-sided thing. So we have to remember that. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with a voodoo doll. It's absolutely fantastic. I think it's great. You do that in therapy. What's the difference between that or going to jam, work off your horrors of your life with clay or with making papier-mâché or with burning something on a fire for Guy Fawkes or whatever one does. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. After that woman in Bournemouth, we went and said we couldn't afford that big 4-bedroom house. We'd made a mistake. We had to go back to my flat. Dad wasn't working and all of that. and she wouldn't give us £1,800. It was 2 months rent and a month's deposit or something. She wouldn't give us back a penny because we were breaking it. I said to Dad, I'm going to take eggs, I'm going to go throw them on her house, and I'm going to go and break every window in her house. Every day I said that to Dad, and Dad said to me, and who do you think she's going to call first? Call and tell. The police? Who do you think she's going to say it is? Us. She's not stupid. She's not going to say, oh, I think these are little boys in the neighborhood. It's us. We had to get over it. We had to get over it, absolutely. Same thing happened with Jennifer too in COVID. When I lost £1,500, I was going to go because I saw she was at this, she was at this exhibition and that exhibition, and I was going to go and sit outside her exhibition and write on the walls and stop everybody who went in and said, I was an artist for her and she owes me £1,500. But what would have got me? What would have got me? I was going to send her a lawyer's letter. What would it have got me? She would have found a way, Stephen. She would have found a way, just like the head teacher of the British School of Kuwait found a way, of the 20 teachers who had left, and he said they could leave in the war, and then when we came back, I didn't because of my back, he then fired them all. Fired us, fired Dad, fired them all. And it was February, March, and we still had a contract till July. It was when the war, February, when I hurt my back. And we went to a lawyer in Kuwait. 11 of us sued them. We went to a lawyer in Kuwait, and the guy said we will only take a third of the money when we get it from him. And we were doing so well. And he said, we've got it. And at the 11th hour, this bastarding prick, British arsehole, who was under the arsehole finger of the Arabic couple who owned the thing, called in British lawyers, brought them over to Kuwait, 4 guys, and they found a loophole. And the loophole was that the Kuwaiti government had not given us permission to leave, the Kuwaiti government, Steve. And therefore, it was null and void, and we lost the money. Now, I got £1,800 because I'd gone off on sick leave. So I was given like a month's pay or something. I think it was a month's pay, £1,800. Maybe we bought our TV and something else. Dad lost everything. He got another job. Some of them went home, some got jobs. What are you supposed to do? What are you supposed to do? When we moved into Faramir, in South Africa, you buy the house voetstoets, which means what's there when you sign the paper, and you sign the paper when you see the house. There's none of this gazumping. What is there, you get. So if there are things on the light fittings, you get them. The stove, you get the stove. Or if there's built-in wardrobes, you get them. Nobody hacks them out. And there was a beautiful high-level stove. Beautiful. We saw it. And when we moved in, this Scottish guy, well, he got his just desserts. He drowned in Durban. But this Scottish guy had taken that and given it to his mother-in-law, because his wife was South African and she lived down near the shul there in a flat, and he was Scottish. And he put her thing in. And we had no money to go to a lawyer, so we couldn't do anything until we could get our own decent stove. There are things in life that you cannot let them stay on your shoulders. Yes, it still annoys you. And yes, when he then went on holiday before we moved in, because the papers were signed, and drowned in Durban, he wasn't a swimmer, and they left these 2 little girls of 8 months and 2 on the beach, went for a swim, and the tide caught him and he drowned. Of course I was thrilled. I'm not inhuman. And then his mother-in-law came crying to us with his wife. She stayed in Durban. She walked up and down the beach for about 8 months. She lost her mind. And the little girls were brought back to the mother-in-law. Please, they've got no home. My daughter's got no home. And Dad said, well, what am I supposed to do? I've got no home either. This sale is null and void. They took it to the lawyers and it's my house. I've bought it from your son. I'm sorry this happened. He can't have his house back. He's got the money. So some things you win and some things you don't. I mean, this is just, I suppose, I'm trying to give you just some wisdom, you know. Some people you win, some people you don't. And if I had to carry all these things, sure, I remember them. If I had to carry all these things on my shoulders, it's years since I thought about Jennifer. Years, 40 years since I thought about Faramir. But I mean, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing with paper mache. Paper mache, of course, you can stick pins in, not clay. There's nothing wrong with that. But you think, I think this is really important, and I've said this to you before, and I wish I could prove it to you. You think that Natalia went to you within a few months and has got this very passive guy, because she'd been with a guy for years and years, who says, yes, sir, no, sir, 3 bags full, sir, and Natalia is now a therapist and blah, blah, blah. Stephen, Natalia didn't have the ability to give love and commitment. Can't you see that? She wouldn't have changed because the guy was a muppet. Natalia is grafting her arse off. She's the therapist of tomorrow. No, perhaps. She's got her clientele. Who knows how many? She might have only 4. And she is spending her days obsessed with that. And when she comes home, she wants dinner on the table by 6. She wants to be in bed by 7 so she can get up and please the clients tomorrow morning. But Natalia is not giving her love and attention to the boyfriend. Just like with you, she had her job and her studies. And just like with you, everything had to be perfect. Please do not imagine it's different. You know, Leon didn't stay with Pearl because he probably drove Pearl mad. And he didn't stay with the blonde with her 2 kids either. They didn't get married, but they lived together. And he didn't stay with Enid. Now, that's not a reflection on you in any way. But at the end of the day, I don't like being with people. You don't like being with people. We don't like being tied down. I would never get married again. I don't know about children. If I lived with someone and a child came along, it'd be fine. If he wanted it as well, otherwise I'd be gone. You know, you can't keep putting this perfection into her and feeling you haven't got that. Now, you can make a show like this and you can put it on, I don't know what you called it, so that it's not open. It's not everybody can see it. But you have to know that things get out. Things get out, lovey. They really, really do. They get out. I copied a piece of art and I painted it while I was in Cape Town and I sold it to somebody while I was in Cape Town. And about 3 months, put it on my Facebook, and about 3 months later, I had the most terrible message on Facebook from a person saying, this is my art. You have copied my art. This is infringement. I am taking you to court. Remove it right now from your Facebook, from anything that you've done. And if I ever see this piece again, I will sue the shit out of you. And I was so shit scared because I was guilty. And I removed it and blah, 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 blah. I never did it again. I adapted things, but I never did that again. And you know, I could have done it the other way. I could have said, I remember writing an apology and said to you, you know, I always thought it was an honor for artists if people copy your arts. I never thought of it like this. Which she didn't answer. Look how my voice has dropped in shame. So, you know, we all do things that are wrong, but Natalia, it ended up, Stephen, she didn't even want you in the same bed as her. She wanted you against the wall. She didn't want Max in the bed. What do you think Natalia would have done with a blind dog? Come on. Natalia didn't have your interest in heart. She might have bought you cheese. She might have sent you things. She might have, you know, we all do that when we start. When we're in lust or whatever you want to call it. I remember you saying she didn't even want sex at some stages. She didn't want sex. So what did she want? She wanted a skivvy. She wanted somebody who would do her bidding. And she wanted the good life. You know, she wanted Stephen at home. He'll do the cooking. She could come and go. She loved being with her friend. You don't even know she's living with this guy. So try to not torture yourself. Try to take this burden off your shoulders. And if you can do that by a voodoo doll, we talked about it before, and I said, do it. Then do it. Voodoo dolls are known. They are known to work. The Africans said they did. They only went with them. Same as their witch doctors. The witch doctor threw his bones and said, blah, blah, blah. You bloody well went and did it, because the witch doctor was like God to you, you know. But, okay, so what is it that's on my shoulders? I don't have those burdens. They've gone the last few months, Steve. Honestly, they've gone, you know. I am looking at a sentence. I've been sentenced, right? I have been sentenced to a form of jail, but I don't know how long for. I don't know if my sentence is 3 months, 3 years, or 10 years, you know. Alzheimer's, if you take this donepezil, I think it's called, then they claim you have a life range of 7 to 9 years, without anything 3 to 5 with Alzheimer's. So 7 to 9 years is great. I don't want more than that. 7 years. And I'll be 84. No, lovey. I don't believe I'll make it to 84. I'm really hoping that this will get me to 80. I'd love to have lived eight decades. I think it would be great. I would really love to have lived 8 decades on this earth and be sort of okay. But you know what my plans are. So I'm in a different place to you, if you ask me that. So for me, there's no way I can sit here now and get out a list and go, oh, you know, I hated this head teacher, like the woman at Glebe School, and, you know, who I said to her, it is impossible to teach 33-year-olds in the morning, have half an hour break for Hillary and I, and 30 again in the afternoon. You know, can I have a job share with somebody else? No, you can't, you know. Can we have an hour's lunch and somebody else starts it? No. Can we have a double lock on the door? We had a small lock the kids could open and run down the passages. Can we have one up where we could put? No. So when I said, look, this is just not available. I said, I'll work till half term. She said, no, you leave on Friday. And for the rest of the week, she and the lady who was going to take over there came in every day at the end of the day, and she introduced Wendy to the teachers and said, I had decided to leave and I was letting them down. The parents cried, Steve. Honestly, they begged me, don't leave. Our children are so happy. And on the Friday, she stood there like a sergeant major. She looked in my bag, Steve, to see if I'd take it. I don't know what she thought I was going to take. What, a curriculum? You know, I can't. And she wouldn't give me a reference. That's why I went and worked in Brent. I can't spend my life going over that. I can't spend my life about this guy who let me down or that guy. And I can't spend my life complaining about Leon. I wanted Leon. I thought Leon was my savior. You thought Natalia was fabulous. She wasn't British. She isn't British. You know, she was soft-spoken, pretty, very delicate, very feminine. You know, what's not to like? It seemed like you were the alpha male. It seemed good on paper. So we can't now turn around and go, but, you know, I also played a part in that, but I'm going to get her. Now, if you need to do a video on it, then of course you need to do a video of it. As long as you don't mention the name, mention where she comes from or anything. And hopefully, you know, it doesn't get out into the public domain. It doesn't get out because you've had a few good lucky breaks. That time with that girl where you phoned her boyfriend or ex-boyfriend or whoever he was, that was tricky. You know, you could have been got for libel. It's just is like that. That's the world. It doesn't mean that everything is it doesn't mean that things are what appears legal or legal. We all know that. You know, the law wins. No, the law doesn't always win. The crooks and the fanatics and the shitheads and the bitches, they win, not necessarily the crooks. So I'm going to read this to you again, to us, because I think it's a wonderful poem. And I'm going to accentuate what I think is wonderful. All the fruit. All the fruit is ripe, plunged in fire, cooked. They have passed their test on earth. And one law is this, that everything curls inside like snakes. Prophetic, dreaming on the hills of heaven, and many things have to stay on the shoulders like a load of failure. However, the roads are bad. Your travel is bad. For the chained elements, like horses, are going off to the side, and the old laws of the earth. And a longing for disintegration constantly comes. So we are constantly in motion and constantly churning. Many things, however, have to stay on the shoulders. Steadiness is essential. Steadying the shoulders. Forwards, however, or backwards, we will not look. Let us learn to live swaying as in a rocking boat on the sea. Friedrich Holderlin. Wonderful. I enjoyed that. Felt good. I enjoyed that. It was a good question to ask, and I'm pleased with my answer, and it is really how I feel. And I hope you can find some peace. Well, I think you've done remarkably, and I did feel was behind you, didn't even think of it. But I remember the stab of Leon coming with a wedding ring. Oh, and this Jewish couple in Bryanston, I can see her and a big, fat Jewish girl, little man, saw Leon at a party on the Monday night. He threw me out the Friday night, which was 20th of December, and on Monday the 23rd he was at a party, getting off with another girl. So, I've had my stabs, just like you have with him. Just like you have with him. But I am forgiving you, Leon. I'm forgiving you. Not for what you did to my son, sorry, but for what you did to me, because I'm the one who is not looking forward and not looking back and trying to sway in my life. I forgive you for what you did to me, Leon. And there you go. So let me know how you feel. That's a long time, 37. I didn't think it would be that long, but I just went on. And this is a good way. If you're happy with this, I'm happy with it. Far easier than, because Dad will just get involved with cameras. So this is far easier. Love you, darling.